Well, here on Primetime Local News today, we are joined by a familiar face. Joe Chowaniec is here. And Joe, we had talked to you a few months back about the release of your book. And now we have kind of an add on to that, I guess. But before we get to that, let's just go back and talk about your book on abandoned buildings. Tell me a little bit about that and how the reception was when you initially released that.
Well, thanks for having me back, Stacy. Yeah, the book project started out back in 2000, late 2018, and in September of 2020, the book came out, and we're now in our third printing. So I would say things are going really well. It was on the bestseller list in Alberta and in Canada for a couple weeks, and in Alberta for a longer period of time. But it was very well received. I'm over the moon and humbled by the whole thing.
Well, and now the next step here is even more amazing. You have an exhibit now with photos from the book at the Royal Alberta Museum. So, how did that all come about?
So, about a month after the book came out, the museum contacted the publisher and asked if I would be interested in doing an exhibit at the museum. And of course, I didn't hesitate. I said yes. So, it's my first ever exhibit. So, I'm kind of excited. It was supposed to open in December and has been set up since December. And I finally got to see it on Monday. And today was the grand opening. So, it's pretty exciting to see. I'm really honored and overwhelmed and a little humbled by the whole thing. Was not expecting any of this.
So, when people go see your exhibit at the museum, Joe, is there an explanation below each of the photos, or is it just the photos set up, or what will people see when they go there?
It's pretty much like the book. So there's 30 photos on display. Each of them has a little plaque with some information, not as much as in the book. The museum shortened them down um, for space limits, but yeah, there's a description of them there. The nice thing is it's in the free part of the museum, so people don't have to pay to go to that part of the Royal Alberta Museum to see it. I, of course, encourage everyone to do it because it's a great resource and great educational thing. So it's free and it's there till Labor Day.
Well, this is just such great news. It does has it spurred you on, Joe, to think about expanding this project and maybe going through some of the other provinces and taking photos and doing books on abandoned buildings in some of the other provinces?
First and foremost, I got more of Alberta to explore, so I'm going to work on that. And I think I'll be leaving the other provinces to other folks like Chris Attrell in Saskatchewan has his book out, Forgotten Saskatchewan, that came out before mine. So he's been working with the same publisher. So and I think they have someone in Manitoba. So I think I'll stick to what I know. I've got so much more of Alberta to explore, and I've got a whole summer of plans of lots of road trips, I hope.
Do you have people who have been contacting you and saying, "Oh, hey, I didn't see this building in the book, but this building is located outside this community and it's a really cool building. You should come and check it out." Have you had quite a bit of that?
I sure have, and that's honestly the way I get lots of my leads now. People ask me to come out and photograph stuff, and just as much as important as photographing the book and kind of or photographing stuff and preserving history, I'm really enjoying talking to families and learning the histories of them and the pride that they have in their family heritage and stuff. So yeah, that's and I encourage people to reach out to me through my Facebook page if they have something that they think I should photograph that would make a good conversation piece or a little bit of history. I'd love to learn more.
Is there any sort of criteria that you use with these buildings? Like if it's a building that's basically totally demolished flat, can you still take photos of it if there's a good story behind it, or how does that work, Joe?
Yeah, I'm open to almost anything. Um, I've now asked for photos in advance to see it, so I, obviously don't drive 5 or 6 hours. But yeah, I mean, all kinds of um, derelict, disrepair, decay. I mean, if there's a picture there that can tell a story and a story that goes with it, it's all part of a vanishing history that we it seems to be disappearing quickly.
Well, Joe, this is just an amazing project. And the fact now that you're in the Royal Alberta Museum, it just, again, exciting for you on all different levels. So, what are the hours of the exhibit? Do you know at the museum? Is it just regular museum hours?
Yeah, best to check the Royal Alberta Museum website. I forgot to check the hours, and I don't think they're open like Monday, Tuesday, um, but I think 10 to 4, I think something like that. So, and like I
Mhm.
said, it's that part of the museum's free. So, you just might have to wait with the COVID to if there's a queue of line or whatever. But yeah.
Well, congratulations, Joe. The book was fabulous. I imagine the exhibit is just as amazing as well. So if people want to get in touch with you once again, what's the best way to reach you if they have an idea or they know of an abandoned building in Alberta somewhere that they think would be perfect for the next book?
Best now, I have a website, so abandonedalberta.com, and on there is my link to my Facebook page and email. So that's probably the best way to get a hold of me.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for talking to us once again. And we are super excited to see what comes out in your next book and what happens with you in the future.
Really appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you again so much for having me back.